a note on positive psychology in practice and communism. Of course, let me say right here and now that this is, in a way, more of a joke, or it would be a joke if it were funny, and just made for uh, some dark shade of humor. But alas, it's not, in the sense that, for me, it's clear. I mean, positive psychology, communism, two different things. It's heaven and hell. Uh, the only way it could be, so let's get into the issue. Positive psychology could help to some extent, limited extent, those in North Korea, for instance, in other communist places, by teaching them how to deal with adversity and trauma, and how to work on the 40% that they can change. 50% of our happiness level, so to say, is predetermined by our genes, by who we are. We can't change 50%. That is our predilection, because people, it's also researched and demonstrated now, people have a tendency to be positive or to be negative. I, for one, I think I have a tendency to be negative. That's why positive psychology is so vital. 10% depends on where you are. If you are in Somalia, Syria, Afghanistan, bad luck, or a communist country. But then you can work on the 40%. So that is where it would help, and especially in dealing with trauma and adversity, because that's a traumatic regime, to a maximum extent. I mean, it's as bad as it can be. But then what it's not just puzzling me, it's overwhelming, it's outrageous to see people in democracies longing for and wishing more communism, and thinking extreme left is the answer. From Bernie Sanders in the US, who's not a communist, granted, but he has some ideas that are borrowed, if not from Stalin, then from Trotsky. I'm joking, but still, it's serious. To the lunatic in Britain, Corbyn, Jeremy Corbyn, with his fondness for South Latin American lunatics like Hugo Chavez and the Bolivarian Revolution, to other nutcases in the world. And I was reading in The Economist, the one that is still on, so to say, the latest issue, that in his circle of advisors and people who are close to him, they debate on what is the better influence, Stalin or Trotsky. I don't have the quote, and I hope it was just hyperbole or something, but still, this man is, and they consider that. Besides, communism is quite tolerated, quite accepted. Intelligentsia in some places, I said, entertain the idea that, wow, communism sounds so wonderful. It's an excellent idea, only applied in the wrong way. Come again? I mean, in the Soviet Union, in North Korea, even now, in all those countries here, in Cuba, you see the results everywhere. It was used, and you think it's either this lunatic here or the bad guy. That, don't you see? It's the system. That it's the animal farm. It's never all the animals are equal. Some animals will be more equal than others, and so in terms of dealing with adversity and trauma as an important part of the strategy in positive psychology and the way to happiness, I think this has to be avoided. This is a threat which which is needs to be highlighted somehow. I think it's as they have people aware that smoking is dangerous. Pretty soon they will have to have, speaking of psychology, ads that would say, "Do not isolate yourself." People who live in isolation are in a danger which is more serious than smoking. In fact, it's twice. Isolation is twice as deadly as smoking. So they will have to have those signs, and somehow, in some places, for some crazies, lefties, extreme lefties, um, they will have to have this. Communism kills. I mean, it's 10 times as deadly as smoking, or you have no chance. Because I know also this. I've been living under communism for about 25 years, but I still pay the price. I mean, my life is affected, has lost I don't know how much happiness and more mental health, social skills, and whatnot on account of this communism. Having and this people is has learned. Communism is also a learned helplessness. Martin Seligman talks about this, and there are studies which show that in under circumstances, animals, they first tested on those, on people who are in a helpless environment, in situations where there's nothing they can do with the current that they suffer in shocks, or the propaganda, or the lack of freedom, and on, the injustice. They learn to be helpless. And now I see this around. Oh, what can you expect? This is the traffic here. These are the roads. We're in here in this country, and what can you do? I mean, it's silly. I'm thinking of an example. There's this guy who is a head of news and the department of arrogant and self-obsessed and repugnant individual otherwise anyway, but he was talking in the sauna. I came back from the west and I entered the country, and then what do you expect? And they were working at this bridge, and they said that and then I got pissed up when I said, look, 1 year ago, and it's true, 1 year before this incident, we had talked about something. It's something happening on this field. There's a field here, and hundreds of trucks come in and throw garbage because we're near the limit of the city. In fact, at the very limit, there's a road which marks the exit close by, and they all come with all sorts of garbage and dangerous and chemical. And there are more things happening. I'm not getting to the. And I told him, and he said, "Oh yeah, well I will send someone next week. Next week, I will send someone a call." Okay. Nobody called. We met again, and I said, "Look, no, he didn't. Oh, I thought. Anyway, I will make sure, and you're available. You will go with them. Well, I don't know if I have the time, but we'll see if it's needed. I will go point out. But I'm telling you what it is. The coordinates well known, Bonassa Forest. Nothing happened, and I gave up. I saw him again, but I realized it's kicking a dead horse. Okay, I mean, it's here. If we're here, that's what the people do, and that's what the news, the traffic, the roads. Eternal explanation. Learn helplessness. But then I reminded him on here. Look, why do you say those people didn't do? They had a plan and they didn't finish the bridge months later. Because you did the same thing 1 year ago. Remember you? Oh no. Come on. So, in other words, it's easy to criticize, to say, he's not doing, and when I don't do something much easier, because in his case it was, first of all, it's easy to say, like I meet some other media guys from other stations, and And when I mentioned, one said, well, they won't do it. The other asked if I can get them to a big dump now or details. And it became clear that if I don't have something sensational, some dead bodies, I don't know, 10 uh, to top the garbage dump, then it's not really breaking news or worthwhile. But at least they didn't create false expectations. This guy, oh, I was waiting in the phone that the crew will come. I'm exaggerating, of course, but so it would have been easy to say, no, we don't do it. Then, oh, no, no, we're coming. And so the influence of communism is right there.